Somewhere in America right now, food on a shelf or in a refrigerator is making people sick, and nobody, not the FDA, not disease investigators, not the companies involved, knows exactly what that food is. That is the reality behind one of the strangest outbreaks currently under investigation in the United States, an outbreak of Salmonella Javiana that has done something outbreaks rarely do this fast. It doubled in a single week. Here is the timeline. On July 22nd, the FDA opened a new investigation into a cluster of Salmonella Javiana infections. At that point, the case count stood at 106 confirmed patients. The agency listed the source as not yet identified, which in outbreak language means investigators are starting from nearly zero. No implicated product, no common restaurant, no obvious pattern connecting the people who got sick. 1 week later, the number had grown to 212 patients. That is not typical outbreak growth. Most foodborne illness clusters climb gradually as public health labs finish testing backlogged samples and match new cases to the same genetic strain. A near doubling in 7 days usually means one of two things. Either the contaminated product is still actively being sold and eaten, or the outbreak has been quietly spreading for weeks before anyone connected the dots. What makes this particularly frustrating for investigators is that Salmonella Javiana is not a mystery pathogen. It has a documented history. Past outbreaks of this exact strain have been traced back to fruit and seafood. In 2019, a Javiana outbreak sickened 165 people across 14 states after being linked to cut fruit products, specifically a fruit mix, honeydew melon, cantaloupe, and pineapple produced by a company called Taylor Cut Produce. Years earlier, a smaller cluster in Arizona was traced to fish served at a seafood restaurant. So the pattern investigators are likely chasing right now probably points toward produce or seafood again, but pointing toward a category and confirming an actual product are two very different things. The FDA has initiated both traceback and sampling on this outbreak, which means they are pulling purchase records and interview data from sick patients, trying to find whatever food item shows up again and again across cases, while simultaneously testing product samples in the field for a genetic match. This is slow, methodical work, and it explains why an outbreak can double in size before the public ever hears the name of the product responsible. What makes this story even more unsettling is that it is not happening in isolation. As of this week, the FDA's outbreak tracking table lists 11 active foodborne illness investigations running at the same time. 4 separate cyclospora outbreaks, 3 separate salmonella outbreaks, including this Javiana cluster, 2 E. coli investigations, a listeria cluster tied to soft cheese, infant botulism linked to powdered formula. Of those 11 active investigations, 7 still have no identified source. 2 of those unsolved cases, this Javiana outbreak and a separate Listeria monocytogenes cluster, both had sampling initiated in the same week, suggesting federal investigators are actively racing to catch up with fast-moving illness before more people get sick. For context on symptoms, Salmonella Javiana typically causes diarrhea, fever, and abdominal cramps that begin anywhere from 6 hours to 6 days after exposure. Most healthy adults recover within 4 to 7 days without needing medical treatment. But severe dehydration or a persistently high fever can require hospitalization, and vulnerable groups, including young children, older adults, and people with weakened immune systems, face a higher risk of complications. So what can you actually do while investigators work this case? Right now, without a confirmed product, there is no specific item to avoid. What you can do is pay attention to your own body. If you develop sudden diarrhea, fever, or stomach cramps in the coming weeks, especially after eating produce or seafood, consider mentioning that timeline to your doctor. Individual reports like that are exactly what helps public health investigators connect the final dots on outbreaks like this one. This is the uncomfortable truth about food safety in this country. We have an entire federal infrastructure built to catch contamination, genetic sequencing labs, traceback databases, sampling programs, and even with all of that, sometimes the system is racing against an outbreak that is already ahead of it. 212 people did not get a warning label before they got sick. They are the warning label, and investigators are now working backward from their illnesses to find the product that caused them. We will be tracking this outbreak as it develops because a case count that doubles in a week rarely stays quiet for long. If stories like this matter to you, hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel so you catch the update the moment investigators identify the source. This is exactly the kind of story that moves fast, and I don't want you finding out from anyone else first.